inside the off stump. Oh, he's caught it! I don't believe it! Tom Kohler-Cadmore has caught the most magnificent catch. That short third man is the end of Daniel Sams, and Somerset have won the Vitality Blast 2023. They've bowled Essex out for 131.
Good morning, you're listening to Always Look on the Bright Side of Life. This is the Somerset Cricket Podcast. My name's Ian Shepherd. Joining me this morning, I've got a man who has still seen more super overs than you, Dan Kingdom. Dan, are you well?
I'm very good, thank you.
And also joining me is Somerset CCC's Head of Digital, who enjoyed a marvellous extra couple of days off this week, Ben Warren. Ben, how are you, mate?
Morning, chaps. Yeah, all good, thank you.
And somebody else who had another extra couple of days off is the voice of cricket on BBC Radio Somerset, Anthony Gibson. Gibbo, how is it up in Langport this fine morning?
It's a bit cloudy, but it's quite warm, and it's been very enjoyable having a couple of days off, especially in the wake of such a notable victory.
Well, I want to talk about the pitch. I thought it was an absolute disgrace. That match was done and dusted on the second day in 147.4 overs. The side batting second enjoyed a lead of, about 100 maybe, with only one batter getting in and making a significant contribution. That, of course, being David Bedingham with 101. Oh, wait, no, I'm talking about Somerset versus Durham up at Chester Street in the County Championship last year. A match in which we played pretty poorly, took our medicine, got beaten heavily by the better side, and endured a very, very grumpy bus ride home. As I'm sure the Durhams did on their way back up to Chester Street. However, they were not able to take the defeat in good grace, as we did with the current president of Durham putting out a very disingenuous tweet criticising the state of the pitch before it had even been fully prepared. Where shall we start? I mean, Gibbo, you were there. I tried my best to keep up with as much as I could. I think the pitch played a part in a handful of dismissals. Tom Abel had one that went through the top, which is obviously not good on the first day. Let's be perfectly honest about that. But there was a lot of bad shots in there, and we were chatting just before we started recording about the Durham players walking onto the field on Monday morning before play starts, looking at that and losing the battle in the head before a ball's even been bowled.
Yeah, I think the pitch got in the heads of the batsmen, probably of both sides, and that accounts for quite a few of the poor shots. Certainly, Alex Lees, when he came out to bat in the first innings, was clearly in a real state and started playing shots at a shot a ball, which is very unlike him. Presumably on the basis that you might as well get as many runs as you can, because sooner or later you're going to get out on this minefield, which was clearly what they decided it was. And the Somerset attitude wasn't that much different either. It was. I put on the BBC text feed on the first lunchtime. It was a pitch that was green in the middle and dusty at both ends. It wasn't a great pitch. I mean, it looked scruffy. It looked well used. That was the expression I used in a tweet before even the start. And you can understand why. We prepared a pitch like that, but it was a risk, and it's a risk that may have, almost certainly will have, repercussions.
But it was a result pitch. I mean, it was the same for both sides. I try my best to be fair on this. I didn't see a lot of balls misbehave. It certainly wasn't dangerous. I mean, there
was a lot of turn. I mean, there were balls, from the middle of the pitch taking off, and James Roux trying to take them by his right ear. I mean, there was about 1 and over. This was on day two, so it wasn't consistent. But both of them's criticism was ridiculous. But using those photographs of the pitch just after they'd taken the matting off, when it looked a very vivid green. The green faded soon enough. But there was certainly plenty in the middle of the pitch for Craig Overton especially, who bowled superbly. I mean, that's the other thing you've got to say. Craig Overton on the first day and Jack Leach on the second, both, bowled tremendously well. And that was a very big part in the equation. But, as pitches go, it certainly wasn't the best I've seen at Taunton.
Well, rated below average apparently is the rumour that's going round, but then surely Dan being a stats man, 50% of pitches are below average if you look at it like that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's the way it's worded, isn't it? I think
Hmm.
it's a strange, it's an incorrect way of wording it. I think in the regulations, it's what we're going to have to do. I mean, what we're presumably trying to do in terms of avoiding a points deduction is to demonstrate that it's about as good a pitch as we could have possibly produced. You know, part of the case will be that there have been a bit of rain around, and the fact that there's so much cricket. That played at the county ground this season that we're going to have to reuse pitches. Obviously, you know, the women's team has obviously meant that we've got a few extra games at the ground this season, so there'll be things we take into account when sort of presenting our case. I mean, do we know when we're going to know if there's a points deduction or not?
I think it's unlikely. I think a points deduction is unlikely. I think it's much more likely that we'll get a reprimand and effectively put under a suspended sentence, so that if in the next 2 years another below average pitch is prepared, then there will be a points deduction. But I'd be very surprised if there was a points deduction straight off.
Yeah, I mean, you're obviously I appreciate, Ben, as an employee of the club, you're very you have to sort of kind of restricted in what you can sort of say at the minute. But I mean, looking back to how pitches have played at Taunton previously, I think it was the pitch that we played Essex on in the Championship, which again went a bit viral before a ball had even been bowled because of the colour of it. But we've kind of refined the science of pitches at Taunton now, where to say they have got to be as green as Kermit the Frog's backside on day one, else in order to get any sort of life out of them, because they just go completely flat and you end up with the bottom side in the division batting out 2 days for a draw against a side that's had two or three international bowlers in it.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that what pitch looks like and what pitch plays like are obviously two quite different things. You see a lot of things on social media about pitches at Taunton that don't look a bit green, like that Essex game earlier in the season. There was lots of viral stuff floating around about the fact that we hadn't even prepared a pitch, and it played quite nicely. So yeah,
we chased 325 in the fourth innings. So
we got bowled out for 145 in the first innings.
So no, I think that there's definitely very different science to pitches at Taunton that sort of buck the trend across most of the pitches in the country about the fact that they don't deteriorate. We talked about this on the podcast before, and that to find a way of producing results, it isn't the sort of typical sort of science of pitch preparation to do it. And when you throw in a kookaburra ball, you end up with decisions to make. So yeah, it's one of those. I think that the old adage of I'll be playing village cricket later, and we'll go down and have a look at the pitch, and people will have a look at it. You sort of make assumptions based on, is it straw coloured? Is there any so you kind of make assumptions before you play. And Taunton, it's very different to make those assumptions before you play.
Yeah, it's people voicing their opinions on social media are always unequivocally incredibly well informed about every subject that they're commenting on. So I'm sure we can take all those with good grace. I mean, well, let's talk about the match. And Lewis Gregory wins the toss. Bowls first. Again, if you think a pitch is terrible and it's going to get much worse, the last thing you want to do on it is bowl first. You want to bat first while you think it's going to be at its best. And as Gibbo said, Alex Sleaze went about his business in a very strange way. Played a lot of aggressive shots. But really, to the seamers, it was just good bowling, I thought. There wasn't much in the way of balls that were rearing up off a length, completely misbehaving. No, surely after 2 or 3 overs, you think, oh, maybe it's not playing as bad as it looks. And you just look to play a sort of quote unquote normal championship innings, Dan. I mean, am I missing something here?
Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, I didn't see a huge amount of the match really. I've only really seen the highlights. But yeah, but clearly it was a case where both sides bowled very well and both sides batted quite poorly at times. Clearly there was an element of not trusting the pitch, which may have been partly in the mind. Um, but you know, for you know, we've got to also take into account the fact that when people are criticizing the pitch, there's a 16-page regulations document which I doubt anyone has actually read or fully digested. So people can have all these opinions from afar without, and they won't have actually seen, the game. Um, so it's
It's the same for both
yeah,
sides.
it's
The
yeah,
pitch at
exactly.
Chester Street was the same for both sides. That was done and dusted in 2 days. Durham played the better cricket on over those 2 days, and they deservedly won. And the reverse happened down at Taunton, Gibbo. Strike me down if anything I said is wrong there.
Well, the pitch at Durham didn't behave like the one that we just had at.
Well, no, but it was a bit more. It's always a bit more
It was a bit
seamer-friendly up
of. I
there,
mean,
isn't it?
Somerset were really poor, and they weren't very well either. There was a bug going through the team, which meant that about half the team were suffering from stomach cramps and goodness knows what else, and Pretorius got hit on the head, and whatever could go wrong did go wrong up at Durham. What the pitch has been cited for is not seam movement. It wasn't the green in the middle that's the problem. It was the excessive turn from the main part of the pitch. That's what the match ref has picked up on, and that really didn't actually become apparent until the second day. I mean, there were signs of turn on the first day. It was really the second day when the pitch did become very difficult to bat on against a quality international spin bowler like Jack Leach, well supported by Archie Vaughan. I mean, it was very reminiscent, frankly, of the pitches from the old Cider of Bad days, and Somerset must have known that they were taking a bit of a risk, preparing a pitch or not preparing a pitch that was going to give that amount of turn on day two. And there was turn on day one as well. And that I think is what the match ref picked up on. Not excessive seam movement, because there wasn't any on the first day. We had Mark Davis commentating, who knows a lot about seam bowling, and he was remarking there wasn't any swing to speak of, and there wasn't much in the way of lateral movement. It's just that Craig Overton in particular bowled out of his skin, and Durham didn't bat very well. That was the first day. The second day it was a rather different kettle of fish, because batting against Jack Leach on that pitch was very, very difficult indeed.
Well, they got off to a cracking start on the second day, though, didn't they? Wagner and who was it? Emilio Gay.
That's because Gregory and Overton opened the bowling.
Well, if it was turning square, why didn't Jack Leach and Archie Vaughan open the bowling?
Well, I think because Somerset wanted to sort of preempt the charge that they prepared a real Bunsen burner of a pitch by opening up with the seam bowlers, as if to say, it's not spin as the whole answer, we're going to use some seam as well. But it was only a matter of time before Jack Leach came on, and I think that if they'd put him on, if they'd opened up with Vaughan and Leach, that would just reinforce the criticism of the pitch, that it was prepared deliberately for excessive spin. So it was a bit of a gesture, that was all, and they did indeed score pretty quickly, but it was only a matter of time before the inevitable developed.
Oh, you old cynic, you. Well,
the next time the England men's test team tours India, what are they going to be met with? Pitches that turn from day one.
yes.
And Somerset are one of the only counties that actually produces pitches that do that and actually allows batters to prepare for that kind of scenario. Like, I'm not saying that every pitch that we produce or every pitch in county cricket should turn from day one, but the regulations are very clear that there should be not much turn on the first couple of days. They allow a little bit, but not much. And yet when we go to India, we do encounter pitches that turn a lot. So why don't we? I would just love it if the ECB was a bit more flexible when it came to turning pitches.
Yeah, we all would. But the trouble is, at the moment, as you said, Dan, they've got their regulations, and that's what they're going by.
And they've not changed them, despite the fact that we've struggled in India many times over the years.
Exactly.
And just remind me what the purpose of this Kookaburra ball experiment is. Isn't it to prepare players for international cricket?
Mm-hmm.
And if by doing that, you're going to say to clubs, you're playing with the Kookaburra ball. Well, we said it before, they're not going to instantly find a battery of 4 6'7" fast bowlers that will knock it down at 90 mile an hour. They're going to do whatever they can to negate the fact that the Kookaburra does absolutely nothing and prepare pitches which are, I wouldn't say poor, but they are result pitches. And it may have been a bit too resulty, but I'd rather have that than it not being resulty enough, if resulty is even a word. Word on Tom Lammonby as well. Again, showed that you could score runs on this pitch if you got your head down and you batted well. And I thought his 89 was right up there with that 100 and odd he made up at Worcester in the 2020 season in the Bob Willis Trophy.
Yeah, Lammonby played really, really nicely, didn't he? He'd really deserved 100. Actually, it would have been a really, really fine sort of milestone for a good knock. So he played really calmly, didn't look under any. Can't remember him sort of giving many chances or sort of giving too many opportunities. So I thought Tom, he's really continuing to develop well this year. He looks really solid. I think he's had a good season to follow a good season last year. So I thought Tom was a real. He went about it in a really calm and measured way and played some beautiful shots.
Yeah. He certainly didn't let the pitch get inside his head. He played very sensibly, very pragmatically, and it was a very classy knock as well. He defended well, he left well, and he hit some lovely shots. It was a really classy innings. Yeah,
without a doubt. I mean, this is the trouble on games finished in 2 days. You haven't really got, you don't really have a lot to talk about. I mean, we talk about Craig Overton, absolutely world class with that Kookaburra ball, just I think completely relentless. Jack Leach as well, second innings.
Some great catches too.
Yeah.
The Overton catch at mid wicket and Tom Bantam's catch as well. Really, really good catching.
We also had a collector's item as well, a Craig Overton drop at second slip. That was. That one just seemed to go on a little bit quicker, didn't it? That one. I thought, but anyway, was only able to see the highlights. So let's have a look at Lord Botham's comments on the pitch then, because I think this is more to the it's pretty sour grapes, isn't it, to moan about the pitch after you've lost a game fair and square. Point one. Point two is that this really seems like an attempt to stir up support for Durham's position of a reduction of championship matches, because there's the line. Where is it? These are not first class conditions. Changes needed. Somerset members. I have voted for the status quo. I've not voted for anything. Dan, have you voted for anything?
Having a go at members is bizarre, and also every county's members will all prefer 14 games to be retained. You can't just specifically say, Somerset members are stuck in the past and they want to keep 14 games. Every county all the county fans across the country want 14 games for the most part.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, what did their CEO get in trouble for? Phil Collins, not that one. His namesake. He had a go at members, didn't he? He said, they're all Luddites or something.
Yeah, Tim Bostock, I think his name is.
I thought that was
Yeah, Tim Bostock, the chief executive of Durham.
One. My apologies to Phil Collins. And what did he say? It was something along those lines, wasn't it?
Yeah, Phil? Luddite members will kill county cricket unless they allow something or other. That's just what the headline here says. Unless they allow changes to go through or whatever, I assume was the gist of it.
Okay, so county cricket's biggest supporters are going to kill it. That makes sense. Yeah, so
What you have to remember is that Ian Botham hates Somerset.
I know Ian Botham hates Somerset.
I mean, that says it all.
I mean, let's be honest. Yeah, you have to take that with a pinch of salt. I mean, you can say what you like. At least when Donald Trump goes on a rant, he uses punctuation correctly. This is quite a difficult tweet to read with all the kind of sentences and points that merge together. If it had been, I don't know, Vic Marks had come out and said, "Oh, why is Somerset doing?" Then you would take that point with a little bit more gravity than Ian Botham. But yeah, sooner we knock that stand down and rename it, the better, in my book. Because as you say, Gibbo, Ian Botham is not Somerset's biggest fan.
What about on social media? Quite a few people have been suggesting that we rename the Botham stand.
Well, yeah, I mean,
and if it's going to be knocked down and rebuilt, then there's an opportunity to do that, isn't there?
I mean, well, there's an opportunity to rename it now. I mean, this, the sign's looking pretty tatty. I mean, how much is a sign cost these days? A couple of £100.
And the rest.
Yeah.
Go on, right. So we just go. Let's go left to right. Don't think. Rename the Botham stand. Dan.
And your shop stall, of course.
And you should get Ben. Are you allowed to comment? You can't call it the Ben Warren stand.
Well, if I had a commercial hat on, I would call it the virtue stand or something like that. Take £50,000 of revenue for it. But yeah, I'll say the Jack Leach stand when he retires.
Good stuff. Gibbo.
The Quantox stand.
The Quantox stand. For the view behind it. I'm going to go. I can't really call it the roll-off fandom member, so I would go the Vitmark stand. There we are. If you are listening, pop your suggestion in the comments below. Right, on then Championship Cricket. Onward now to yet another Kookaburra ball game up at Trent Bridge, which we if previous matches up there in the county championship or anything to go by, it is not going to be a pitch reminiscent of what we saw at Taunton the last few days. Anybody who remembers the game last year will remember of an incredibly boring draw on an incredibly flat pitch. The highlight of which for me was seeing Somerset physio Jamie Thorpe taken to the field as a substitute. James Rue bowling a bit of his left arm spin, etc., 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 as that game petered out into a draw. Now, with the championship table looking as it is, the correct championship table, not the one on Cricket Info, which had it as a lot closer than it was. Do we think Notts are going to produce a more result-orientated pitch? Because they will want to be catching Surrey, who are, I believe, what are they, 1 point ahead?
Yeah.
Let me just find the table a minute.
Surrey a point ahead, yeah.
Yeah, so Surrey 154, Notts 153, Somerset 137, Warwickshire 136, Sussex 125, your top five in the championship table. Who does Surrey play then? They have got
Durham, put Chesterfield Street.
You think that's probably going to be a result? Essex play Warwickshire. Well, Essex, eh? They beat Sussex by innings and plenty. We're up at Trent Bridge. Worcester host Hampshire at New Road, and then Yorkshire take on Sussex at Scarborough. So you're the head groundsman at Trent Bridge. What are you going to do?
Wow.
Well, I don't think it'll be a dead flat pitch. I don't think they'll prepare a pitch that's tailor-made for a high-scoring draw. Because there's every chance that Surrey could win up at Durham. I think they've got to give themselves a chance of winning the game. Mm-hmm. But I think they will err on the side of caution. Let's put it like that. So if either side does win it, either they will have played very well, or the other side would have played very badly. I think the draw is odds on.
I think there's also limitations as to what Test match grounds can do to their pitch. It's that they've got the 100 coming up, Notts, haven't they? So they've obviously played a lot of cricket on there. So I agree with Anthony. I think they might they could sort of leave a bit of grass on something, hope they toss and bowl, but that's sort of the limit of what you usually see in sort of Test grounds, sort of preparation of surfaces, particularly this late on in the summer. So yeah, I think to negate Kookaburra ball fully, you probably need to do a little bit more than just move it a little bit sort of, and hope you win the toss. So yeah, I think it will be really interesting to see, but I think it may just be that they sort of just leave it a bit green and hope that because they got Mo Bass, haven't they, that they may well just sort of bank on themselves winning the toss and bowling Somerset out early on day one and then see what they can do from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
looking at
okay.
the previous games at Trent Bridge this year, there's been 5 games at Trent Bridge so far this season, and Notts have won 3 of them, and the other 2 were draws. So it has been fairly result oriented, the pitch there. Although the Kookaburra match there against Yorkshire was a pretty dead draw. Notts got 4-8-7, Yorkshire 5-10, and then Notts won 4-8 for one, and it just died that match. So yeah, hopefully they learn from that and yeah, leave a little bit more grass on. Because I think both, Notts, it's really in Notts' interest to try and get a win. I think they'll want to try and get ahead of Surrey before they play them, because that's the thing. They play Surrey on the 15th of September at the Oval. That's the penultimate game of the season, so that they'll obviously be thinking about that as well.
But wouldn't it be nice if that was a draw? I can't see. Well, I don't know. It depends if Surrey are ahead. But then does that allow Somerset to potentially, go past them? It's very intriguing towards this part of the season. That's why we love it. Selection-wise, then old Miggy P had a bit of a knock apparently and wasn't able to take his place this week against Durham. What's going on with Riley Meredith, Ben?
That's the golden question.
I mean, Jason Kerr said, 2020 only, absolutely, was never ever in contention for Championship cricket, which is a bit of a contradiction to the piece which went up on the website saying that he's kind of may be considered or something like that for Champo cricket.
Yeah, I think that when they originally signed quite early. It was quite a long time ago that we announced that signing, wasn't it? I think it was even last year that we announced that.
May have been, yeah.
It was to be fair before the fixtures are out, and it did say
Yeah.
dependent on the structure of the season. But
So
these 2 games are surely prime for him to play the game between the Blast and the 100. I don't know.
I think that there's obviously sort of other elements in that kind of contract, and the only thing I can say is that I remember last year when I was following it a little bit more closely that Cricket Australia were very, very invested in his minutes and time and overs. So I think there's obviously a lot of clamour to play him, but I guess if we could, we would. Because that was the initial thought.
I mean, the way the side is balanced at the moment, if you did want to appease Cricket Australia, it'd be absolutely the perfect side for him to slot into, because you've got Davey opening the bat and there's one seamer, and then so he would presumably come in for ball. So you'd say you would have 3 seamers in Gregory, Overton, and Davey, 2 spinners in Leach and Vaughan, potential backup of Lammonby, and then you've just got Meredith as a wild card who could bowl 3-4 overs, 12 overs a day. Well, yeah.
But Pretorius is going to come back into the side, according to Jason. So he'll take Jason's place.
Yeah, I mean,
so you'd have to, if you were going to play Meredith, you'd probably have to find somebody else to open the batting.
Lewis Gregory.
Yeah, yes. Gregory opens.
Yeah.
Pretorius and So there's ways of getting him in the side and ensuring that his workload is completely managed. I mean, if he bowl,
he's not going to play though.
I know, but we love living. It's a hypothetical. If Cricket Australia are listening, they go, bloody hell, mate, that's a good idea. You play this side, mate. Well, you can have old Riley Meredith.
But I think just to go back to, I just looked at that press release that I know a few people on social media have sort of forensically keep screenshotting was sent on the 14th of October last year, so just after and like Dan said, before the fixture list. So I think there were maybe intentions, but things change, and we are sort of nearly 10 months on from that. So I think that whilst I think that when the signing was announced, they tried to leave the door open for it. And I think it has been a long time, and things have changed slightly, I guess, with other commitments.
I mean, I think you could probably do with the money, the amount he spent on Oasis merch up at the concert. If you follow him on Instagram, he's covered. If you ever seen that episode of Friends where Joey finds the Porsche and then he starts wearing all like the Porsche hat and the Porsche jacket, that's what Meredith looked like up at the Oasis concert with his bucket hat and his shirt on. A few of them went up. Looks like they had a good time. Right. Well, it's been half an hour and we haven't even got to Somerset securing their home quarter final against Birmingham Bears, vanquishing the old enemy at the Cooper Associates County Ground last week, with what I thought was a very sensible tactical decision to play on a finals day style pitch, to test themselves by winning the toss and batting first. And yeah, sending the old enemy packing up the M5. Happy days. Lewis Gregory won the toss, batted first. 164 for 7. Will Smead continuing his good form. Ben Green showing what a valuable player he is. 36 out of 22 at the end in total of 164 for 7. And then really the Gloucesters, although they only lost by, 16 or so runs in the end? Yeah, they never really looked like they were in any danger of getting close to the total.
No, it wasn't a great game, was it? But
no, it was dominated by spin. I thought when they brought Payne on to bowl the last 2 overs, when pretty much all of their spinners had an over or two in the bank, and that ended up going for 20 or 22, whatever it was. Wasn't necessarily the difference in the game, but it just kind of felt like, oh, this is the plan. David Payne's got to bowl the last over, come what may, and they didn't quite think on their feet, but they were out anyway. So,
well, he had a difficult day the day before, didn't he, David Payne, in the game that they did need to win to sort of keep their chances alive. But I think Ben Green deserves a lot of credit for how he played those last few overs. He gave himself time to get himself set and backed himself to sort of be able to hurt Gloucestershire in the last couple of overs, and he got a couple of balls in his arc and duly dispatched them. But it did, I think, lift Somerset into a total that I think most people upstairs where we were thinking that would have taken some getting.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was mission accomplished in the sense that it was very much a finals day type game. 8-ish and over on a slowish pitch that's taken a bit of turn. You've got to work really hard for your runs, and then and defending it. I mean, the only possible criticism is they only played the 2 spinners, but they could have maybe given Josh Thomas a go if they'd have felt like it was a real Bunsen burner. But
what are the chances of Josh Thomas playing on finals day, though? Extremely low.
Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, we did play Bashir in the semi-final against Surrey a couple of years ago. I don't think he bowled.
Yeah, he didn't bowl. That was the second spinner, though. Yeah, not as the third spinner. But
as a second spinner. So, I mean, he can hit a ball.
Was he even? He may have been the first spinner actually, because Van der Merwe was injured for that final
stage.
No,
Ish Sodhi was the
of
first
course.
Yeah.
Ish
Sodhi, and then Bashir dropped out, and Casey played in the final.
Yeah.
So it's not a million miles away from being. I mean, James Drew had to come in at late notice last season, so things can change, and they can change very quickly. But I think the Somerset bowlers worked out how to bowl on it quicker than the Gloucestershire seamers did. I mean, Craigo 1 for 20 off 3, Lewis 2 for 35. But Jake Ball again, showing his value as a backup white ball seamer.
Another good run out as well after his one at Canterbury. Another good one he pulled off here. Yeah, to sort of twist around, didn't he, to throw it to the other end.
I think Jake Ball deserves a little bit of credit actually for how he sort of come in the last few games. I thought, I think that it was particularly in the game at Canterbury a really good display, and that was a game that they were very keen to win. So to secure. So yeah, I think a word on Jake Ball. He's come in and bowled really well in those two last games. Thought he bowled all right up in the championship game as well. That lot of luck.
Yeah, definitely. Can't disagree with a word of that. He's always been a really good T20 bowler. Like I said, I don't think he's ever let us down. It's just, will Matt Henry be back?
That's the question, isn't it?
Do we know? Do we know? He gave a bit of his kit away, whatever the last game that he played was. So no one have frugal Somerset, or he might have to play the finals day in his pants because they might not be able to afford new kit for him. Also left Riley Meredith out. I think again just to see if how the side can perform without him, and they performed pretty well. So that's the group stages done and dusted. Then I mean, how do we think they've kind of gone as a whole compared to 2023 as sort of the benchmark?
I think, yeah, I think we're not quite at the same level as 2023, but we're definitely better than last year. The aura wasn't quite there last year, but I think this year, having had Riley and Henry through the group stage, we've looked a really difficult team to beat.
Yeah, I mean, there's pluses and minuses. I mean, the plus is Will Smead, who's had a terrific campaign. The minus is Tom Banton, who hasn't. And Banton was such a force last year. I agree with Dan. I think they're not quite the same level as 2023, but they're not far short.
TKC's been very good as well.
TKC's been good. Abel's not been at his fluent best, but he's found a way to score runs at times. I mean, James Rue came in for him as Banton was still recovering from the Lammonby came in for Banton, and Rue technically would have come in for Abel in his slot for Banton, so having a little bit of a recovery from that finger knock he suffered at Canterbury a couple of weeks ago. And I thought Rue looked a lot more fluent than Abel has been in the last few weeks. So I don't know. Again, a lot will depend on how Tom Abel goes in the 100 and how he sort of shapes up before finals day. Because I still think it's Tom Abel's spot. Which goes to show the strength and depth that we've got in the batting. No disrespect to James Rue. He's fantastic knock at finals day last year. But I'm not quite sure that a 19 off 13 against already eliminated Gloucester is enough to, push Tom Abel out the door just quite yet.
I think the really interesting one, I know we discussed this previously, is sort of the Vandermeer out Goldsworthy in kind of change to the side. That was going to be a critical thing throughout the group stages, but it's going to become even more apparent now as we enter the, I hope, particularly if we are successful in the quarterfinal, make it to finals day, the Goldsworthy role, is going to be a really big one. So I think that his development has been, I think, really encouraging. He's batted well as well. I think his sort of six hitting abilities have improved a lot. So I think that Goldsworthy's role within the side is now far more mature, and I think that he is going to play a huge role in the knockout game and the Taunton. But if they do make finals day, that the sort of the build up to that over the season is going to be really apparent to see just how much he has developed. Can he become a key weapon for us on finals day? That would be a really interesting thing to know if obviously we win the quarterfinal, which is by no means guaranteed.
Yeah, he bowled. I think he bowled 4 overs to 20 up at finals day, 21 or 22 maybe. And as we say, these these pitches up at Edgbaston for finals day, Gibbo, they're very rarely roads. They're these sort of 150, 130, very tense type pitches. I mean, you've always been a great champion of Golders, and he struggled early on, but it was that spell up at Gloucester which really kind of rocket boosted him into a lot of confidence. And he's just taken that with him through the rest of the campaign with bat and ball.
Yeah, and the boundaries at Edgbaston, as long as they're out, as far as they can go, that will help him, particularly square of the wicket. I mean, when I spoke to him after the game up at Bristol, he said, "Well, it was great because the shots that would have gone for 6 at Taunton were being caught in the outfield at Bristol, and and you do need that as a spin bowler. A little bit of protection. Like if miss hits are going for 6, then it's no fun. But yeah, I agree with you. He's a much improved cricketer all round, and he's bowled really well. And he's bowled, I think he believes in himself a bit more.
Yeah.
He's got more self-confidence with both bat and ball, and it's showing.
Well, that's the thing, particularly when you bowl in spin, because you can't suddenly drop in a 90-mile-an-hour bouncer and try and knock somebody's block off. You've absolutely got to back yourself 100% in what you're doing. If you're stood at the end of the mark, you've got any kind of self-doubt, that just kind of creeps in, your body tenses up a little bit, you either drag one down, it's a full toss. I mean, that's why Shea Warne was probably the greatest spin bowler of all time. Not because of his ability to spin the ball, but the fact that he was just so super confident in anything he was doing. It was, if he got hit for 4, oh, it's a lucky shot. It wasn't my fault. He's lucky bastard. Nothing that Shea Warne did was ever wrong. He was completely had complete faith in himself, and that's why he's such good. Well, you can say that about all types of cricketers, really. People like Kevin Peterson, just completely confident in what they're doing. They go out and do it, and they've got no self-doubt.
But I'm really pleased for Lewis that he's managed to, that was obviously the big call went out on loan in the Blast last year. So, really pleased that he's come in and made that spot his own. And I think, he really deserves to shine on the biggest stages. So, yeah, quarterfinal's going to be, that Bears team is pretty star-studded when you go through it. So it's going to be no sort of easy ride, but yeah, hopefully a great occasion.
Well, yeah, looking at that the quarterfinal, so that's already sold out. 6th of September at Taunton, the hottest ticket in town. I've already booked my digs for Edgbaston.
Oh gosh.
And I thought I'd be clever and I'll get free cancellation. But the free cancellation is at 1 minute past midnight on the morning of our game. So if it had been on the Wednesday or the Friday, I'd have been in business. So I'm going to have to try and work out some way around that, or I just go up the finals day anyway and just mooch about and watch somebody else lift our trophy. So looking at where that the quarterfinal is then, it is in the middle of a one-day series against South Africa. So you'd think that would negate Jacob Bethel playing.
Yeah.
But other than that, they're probably going to be at full strength. We may or may not have Matt Henry back. Riley Meredith should still be knocking around after the 100. We'll have Miguel Pretorius, who got his
Obviously,
game in
Banton
down.
might be in the England squad, possibly.
Yeah. I mean, the form he's in, can't say would that be the worst thing in the world, but do you know what I mean?
He was all right against Durham. He was sweeping the ball.
That's true. Yeah, he was sweeping to great effect against Durham. So I don't know, but yeah, just in the Blast, he's not been quite at his best this season. But I mean, we don't have a championship game in between the end of the other competition and the quarterfinals. So all the guys should be in prime white ball form, you would think, playing either the Metro Bank or the 100. So yeah, looking forward to it. I just need to try and negotiate my way around potentially losing 140 quid on my final day digs.
Can I just give a couple of fun stats,
Go on, Dan.
which may or may not be reassuring. The fact that we have we played 12 Blast quarterfinals in our history and we've won 10 of them. Warwickshire have played 13 Blast quarterfinals in their history and they have won 3 of them. So basically it's a team with an incredible quarterfinal record against a team with a terrible quarterfinal record, which you could interpret as being Warwickshire being due a win and us due a loss. Or it could be interpreted as us guaranteed win. And obviously, the last 4 years, we have won 4 in a row, and Warwickshire have lost 4 in a row. So,
well,
They lost to Gloucester last year.
yeah,
Edgbaston,
yeah.
I think I remember they had a low scoring game at Edgbaston, wasn't it? I think that they.
Yeah.
So I looking at a lot. I hear a lot of their fans sort of very sort of, this is the time, this is the year. They've got Tom Latham, who is due back, I believe, from his paternity leave for that quarter final, who scored 100 in the last group stage. I think that the Bears fans are pretty confident that this team is a better side than they've had over the last couple of years. So yeah, so you only got to look down to look at the sort of the names. You've got a lot of quality there that on their day are going to be incredibly dangerous. So yeah, it should be a fantastic occasion. And yeah, 6th of September.
Yep. And if you do want a ticket, well, keep an eye on the ticket exchange. I expect there's any way to get a ticket now, Ben. That's officially sold out.
Yeah, there'll be a couple of sort of premium options come on at various points, but only like a handful. And then yeah, the resale platform about 2 or 3 weeks out. People are bought and can't make it. So yeah.
Good stuff. I don't got anything much more on the Blast campaign. We can sort of park that now for a little while. Somerset women had an eventful game up at was it Blackpool, 17 overs this side. Well, first off, the game was delayed due to traffic jam. I'm not sure who was kind of stuck in that traffic jam, but I'm imagining it was either the players or the umpires.
Lancashire players, I believe. Some of the Lancashire players, because obviously it was Blackpool. They're presumably based in Manchester and probably driving up individually. So I assume some of them were a little later than others and got caught in traffic.
Oh dear, women drivers, eh? Sorry, that was a joke. That was get Jim Davidson here. Anyway, yeah. So and a thrilling tie on the. Well, I mean, we did our best to completely throw it away. I mean, Sophie Love had a bit of a doomer, dropped 2 catches in that last over, and then the last ball going for 6 to tie the match. I mean, you say what we like about Somerset women, but they demand eyeballs on the screens. They are almost compelling to watch at times.
Yeah, it was a good game. I mean, our innings, we started quite badly, 35 for 4, 43 for 5, but then it was that partnership between Luff and Alex Griffiths, which got us up to a reasonably competitive score, 114 in 17 overs. And then that's what's happened a few times actually in Somerset women games this year, where we've been defending. We've sort of often struggled to get many wickets early on, but actually we've managed to contain the opposition quite well. So the Hampshire game at the Rose Bowl was very similar. They lost 2 wickets in the whole innings and yet still needed 11 off the last over. And this game was kind of similar. They were 57 for 1 after 9.2 overs. So we were containing fairly nicely. And then there was a little bit of a collapse and we really, really should have won. I can't remember the exact numbers, but they required quite a few of the last 2 or 3 overs. And yeah, Luff, unfortunately, dropping a catch did not help. And then obviously it came down to 7 off 1, and Alana King, Molly Robbins unfortunately bowled a sort of slightly shorter, not short delivery, but it was one that Alana King was able to get under, and she just hooked it away for 6. So thankfully it didn't matter too much. But yeah, it's been a campaign of learning, I think, this Women's Blast.
Yeah, we'll let them off. Trevor Griffin wants. If Trevor Griffin wants to use the word learnings, I think we can let him off, but not so much Andy Harry. And then we are down to Chelmsford, where they look. This was now back in the Metro Bank, which we have got a real good chance of qualifying for. And fantastic performance with the bat, 312 for 6. Then it rained.
Yeah, horrible. Really good to see Holland 78, her maiden list day 50. Jess Hazel, her maiden 50 in anything, was 60. The fact that we managed to get 312 with Luff and Wilson only scoring 54 runs between them is really reassuring. And Essex are one of the weaker teams, it must be said. But yeah, I think a really good, despite unfortunately the rain, it was still a day with a lot of positives for Somerset. But yeah, the shame is that was really not quite a must-win game, but we have much tougher matches coming up. So to go through, we probably did need to win that game. You never know though. We're still in with a shout of going through. We probably just need to win 3, possibly 4 of our remaining 5 games, which won't be easy. But Yeah, you never know. You never know. We've got to get another win. Hopefully, we can win on what day is it? Wednesday against Durham, isn't it? At Taunton. We win that game, and then we'll go into the break with a win on the board at least. So we'll be in with a shout going into September.
Yeah, it's a bit
Yeah.
galling that despite even not losing, we've dropped down to down to seventh now from fourth, which is no sixth, sorry, from fourth, which is a bit frustrating, but hey,
It looks like Surrey are our kind of main rivals for that
Mhm.
fourth spot, and I think you don't want to sort of. Yeah, I think it probably is going to be one where you look back at the end and think that yesterday was quite a big momentum swinger in that, because I think that it is so frustrating that both games were rain affected and Surrey managed to get back on and get a win. Fortunately,
Yeah.
we didn't. I think that it's just not quite to be, but a very good performance.
If Surrey hadn't got back on against Hampshire at Guildford, Hampshire would have won on DLS. So yeah, it was a difficult equation for Surrey when it did come back on. But yeah, they did it with a few balls to spare. It was quite impressive. And obviously we haven't got to play Surrey again, so we won't be able to take points off them. So if they keep winning, then we might be struggling. But Lancashire are the team above them. We do have to play them. So if we beat Lancashire and win most of our other remaining games, then we might be able to sneak ahead of them instead.
been on our own hands then, just about, we reckon. Net run rate could be a problem as well. It's not as good as teams above us, but that will improve if we keep winning. Any other business then, chaps, before we knock this on the head?
We haven't been for the listeners' questions, but I think we've pretty much
I
covered
think, I was
everything.
going to say, I think we've covered pretty much all of those. The Somerset, or the 150th, it was our 150th anniversary today, episode 150. So thanks for sticking with us. And if you've only just joined us, go and have a listen to the back catalogue. Keep you probably here till Christmas. 150th anniversary game at Sidmouth is a Somerset Legends game. Jamie Cox is playing. My camera's just died now for some reason. Jamie Cox, Andy Caddick, Sophie Luff, James Hildreth confirmed for that. Rumours of a cameo appearance by Ben Warren are growing stronger by the day. And I think, evening with Andy Caddick, when's that, Ben? That's soonish, isn't it?
So the evening round in Cardiff is on the 12th of August. Tickets still available, and the Sidmouth game is on the 18th. So that's
18th.
That
The
is
exact
the club's
150th birthday, yeah.
Yeah. The Metro Bank game on the 17th is the sort of celebration at Taunton for it, and then there'll be the game on the 18th down at Sidmouth.
Good stuff. And of course, all the usual frivolities themed Metro Bank games this year as well, which I'm sure we'll discuss nearer the time. And unfortunately, that was when I encountered a terminal technical recording problem here in the Roll-Off Phantom Over Pavilion. Don't worry, we pretty much finished talking about anything we were going to talk about anyway. Just remains for me to say best of luck to Lewis Gregory and Sophie Luff and Somerset men and women for their games this week. Thanks for listening, putting up with this for 150 episodes. I will catch up with you next time. Cheerio.